Today, the feeling is just so crazy for me, both of sadness and anger, and I'm looking for somebody to invest it on. Yes, this is another inspiring episode on the Bisa platform with your host, Betty Osei-Bunsu. Luckily for me today, I'm joined in the studio with Lola Dolores Princess. I'm just so angry, and I'm hopeful that at the end of this episode, you'll get to know the reason why I'm angry. Why are people so inconsiderate? I just don't understand. Just wait and find out. Lola, it's lovely to have you in the studio today.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Today, we're on the topic, the unspoken word. Usually with this particular topic, it's something that people hardly speak of, or even they hardly acknowledge. By the end of this episode, you get to know the unspoken word we are talking about. And I'm hopeful that with her story as a victim in Ghana, she'll be able to put the spotlight on other victims to encourage them to come out and speak it. Because no matter whatever happened to them, where it happened, what happened, how it happened, they are not different from any of us. So, do you mind telling us your story?
Okay, so the reason why I'm an activist of child sexual abuse is because I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And it happened when I was around between the ages of 8 to about 13 years. And it really did change my life. The abuse showed me how I should reason, how I should act, and I didn't have a control of who I became as an adult.
Wow, and who did this abuse to you?
My cousins. My name is Dolores Princess, and I'm a child sexual abuse activist, and I am a Ghanaian. Born in Liberia. Yes. Aside the activism, when I'm not doing that, I engage in freelance IT marketing. Any sexual act with a minor, yes, whether the child can give the consent or not. As far as it's a minor, it's a no-no area.
Wow, the same blood.
Yes.
And how was the feeling?
It was very weird at the beginning because you're growing up, you're that young, and you know that you get up, you do your house chores, you go to school, learn, come and play, and then introducing that to my life, it felt weird because I don't see that in the open. I don't hear people talking about it, so it became my secret. Yes.
And where was this happening? Like
it was happening at home and away. And when I say away, it's like during vacations, you go visit your aunties, you spend time there. Yes, so it happens there. So maybe when I think that I am leaving my parents' home and going to my auntie's place to spend the holidays, thinking that, oh, okay, my cousin will come to our home and he'll meet our absence. I get there and he's also there for the holidays, and then it goes on.
Wow. So you tell us, when you were a child, what were some of the values you held so dearest to your heart?
Okay, I come from a very, very religious family.
Okay.
And growing up as a woman, you have to be chaste. You have to keep your virginity. So growing up, you hear some of your older siblings talking about their friends getting married and how they kept themselves and how the first intercourse was, not into details, but that wonderful experience.
Can imagine.
And you also feel like, okay, since you are being brought up like that, yours is going to be that magical, you know, where you're going to walk down the aisle in a white dress, you know. So that was what I held so high when I was growing up.
The Cinderella story. Everyone, they will tell us you have to be a virgin until you get married. And when you get married, the bed, Yes, a spot of blood on on the bed. Wow, that's a very sad story to hear. At the age from 8 to 15, 5 years, being abused sexually constantly by your cousins. That's a very sad story to hear. So, did you ever think about this when you were a child? And at what time did you come to realization that this was bad?
It was during that period, and one day my dad had come back from work, and he had a bath. He was exhausted. He had his bath, and then he went to sleep. I walked in the bedroom, and I saw him naked, with the fan on. He was having his time. I just walked in. I didn't even bother. And when my dad saw me, he was like, "Can't you see that I'm lying naked?" And my dad has a high pitch, so when he goes like that, you know that you're in trouble. And it was weird to me because my cousins showed me their private parts. They're naked like that. So it was normal to me to just walk in. My dad is naked too, so I just walk in. And the way my dad reacted, it was totally opposite. So when I just stepped out, I just walked out, ashamed, embarrassed, I just walked out. I stood there at the door, the entrance, after closing the door outside, and it dawned on me that why is my dad acting different?
Wow.
My cousins show me their parts. They are naked with me. So what's the difference? And that was when I realized that no, this thing is not okay. It's not normal. So when I had the opportunity to talk about it, I did.
And who did you speak to?
It was a family friend. Yeah,
Okay.
and she was dating one of my older brothers, and she was very, very, even though she was older, she was very playful with us. So one day it's like I opened up with her. It wasn't just immediately when she started being nice to us, but it was after a period of time that she has built some rapport with me personally. That was when I opened up to her and I told her that this is what is happening, and she told me, no, this is not supposed to be so she's gonna do something about it.
And then I'm just imagining, what did she do?
She walked me home. She took
Okay.
me home and it was like, sit down. And we went to see my mom at one side of the house. They spoke at length. I didn't know what was said and who said what and who didn't say anything. But after a while, I could hear the person telling my mom that you're a bad mom. And then my mom said, get out of my house. So it was a heated argument. Everybody was had raised their voice. And at that point, I felt like I was the reason why
That was happening.
and I was going to cause this misunderstanding in the family. So I was like, Dad, keep quiet.
Wow. Nobody should ever keep quiet. I'm just imagining what your mother did after. Would you like to tell us, what did she do? What was the reaction to you?
Nothing.
She didn't say anything.
She never said anything to me, but nothing. She didn't say anything, but over the period, it's like I actually kind of like communicated with her that I would want her to take an action, like later. I think it was after secondary school, and then I was really having a hard time dealing with my past, and I told her that I wanted her for me to heal and move on. I wanted her to call a family meeting with my cousins and their families, and then I want them to apologize in front of me, to the whole family, and then let everybody know that this is what it did to me. And she was like, and I was like, what?
Oh my God.
No, and she wouldn't do anything. I was like, is it because it's from your side of the family? And she was like, we'll deal with it. We'll handle it. We'll be fine. And yeah.
Audience, you're watching Be with Adulting and ISA. Be inspired with stories from Africa, where values, passion, and an environment comes to life. Today we are in the studio with Lola Dolores, and she's telling us her story on how she was abused at the age of 8 till 13 by her cousins. Stay with us and don't go.
Okay, so there are forms of sexual abuse. So two are touching and non-touching. So the touching is where you touch the child's private parts, or maybe you finger them, or maybe, example, fingering or digital penetration. It's either using your fingers, your toes. Those are the touching. You come in contact with the child. And the non-touching is where you share obscene images with the child, texting, or what they now call sexting, with a minor under the age. So you tell the child to like take off their clothes and send you a picture. No, that also falls under child sexual abuse. Or sharing pornographic images of minors on social media or whatever platform you find yourself. That is also considered as child sexual abuse.
We just want to continue the conversation from where we left it, but a lot of things are just popping into my brains, like parents putting their eyes on their children when they go on vacations, leaving them to just, they don't even monitor whatever they do. We have to be very careful. Neighbors in the house, individuals that take care of our children in our absence, we have to be very careful. Let's just know what you think. What would you have done if you were her mother? Just put that in the chat. So Lola Dolores, when you came to that final realization that this thing was happening to you and you started speaking out, how did the community react to you?
Okay, so right now I have people who embrace it and those who don't disagree with me talking about it now.
Okay.
Because they feel, oh, it's in the past, you're over it, why do you bring that, you know, opening all old wounds, and yeah, but I'm finding my voice. Yes, so those who support me, I go with them because this is a crime against a person, and it's a crime in our nation, Ghana, as well. So if you're going to sweep it under the carpet, you're just destroying your child. Because if you think that you're just going to take 2,000 cedis or 5,000 cedis as compensation to cover it up, later on it's going to affect a child. So that is why I'm talking, because the side effects are numerous and people are not aware of the side effects.
What are some of those side effects?
So it's either depression, anxiety disorder, PTSD. And PTSD, as you know, normally is those veterans, you know, who experience PTSD when it first came out as a mental disorder. It was these veterans that were experiencing that. And they have gone to training and have gone to war, and they come back with all the training, they still experience this mental disorder.
That's true.
And you're having a child experience PTSD without any training at all. It's just alarming for a child to experience that at that young age, all the way to adulthood. And somatic symptoms where the child is sick and you've run all the tests, you can't tell what exactly it is. So the child is always sick. And it affects their self-esteem as well.
That's true.
And it's numerous: nightmares, night terrors, suicidal attempts as well, and eating disabilities to the point that with all the trauma that the child is experiencing, it can affect their organs as well. And that is very alarming, and that is why I'm speaking out about.
Wow. Now let me take you back a little. During those times where you were sexually abused, how many of your cousins were doing this?
Okay, I have two main cousins that I remember the exact acts they did with me.
Wow.
Yes.
And they just... And how old were they? Like...
They were much older than I was, and I think one is about between 15 and 20 years older than I was, and still is. He is.
Wow. I'm just so sad. Okay. So with this particular experience, is that what made you start this, your foundation?
Yes, it's my experience and what happened in 2015. I was going through a lot. I was diagnosed in, I think, 2003 or 4 with major depression and anxiety disorder, and I was being treated. And at some point in 2015, I was still not getting better. I just didn't understand what I was going through, so I became overly depressed, and I didn't know how to get out of that depressive state.
Okay.
So I tried committing suicide. I didn't. I thank God
Oh
that
my
I
God.
attempted it. Yes, it didn't work out, and I was admitted for some time, and I
Wow.
got therapy. So when I came back, I started my Facebook page to speak out, educate people on child sexual abuse, and the role parents have to play in protecting them. So through one of those research that I do for my page, that I got to know about the side effects. So when I read the side effects, I was like, oh my God, that is what I have been going through all this while. But I knew that what I experienced had an effect on my life. I didn't know exactly. You know, it's like you having fever and all that, and then you feel like, oh, my grandmother, people are coming to get me, and then you get to the hospital, and the doctor says, oh, we tested it's malaria, and you're like, oh my God, it's malaria, thank God. It's like when you know what you're suffering from, kind of like relieves you from what you're going through. So when I got to know that, oh, these are the side effects, read about the side effects, know how to manage it, then I know that, okay, then I can start a healing process.
About the gospel singer Osinachi, who sang the song Echo Eme, and what happened to her. I feel like that particular incident brought a kind of spotlight to sexual incident or abuse in general, but it was skewed to just marriage and husband exerting abuse on their wife. However, the other forms of abuse were just thrown away, like child abuse, this pedophile, incest by fathers, brothers, cousins, uncles. It's disappointing to see all that. And I would like to hear from you. What did you think about Osinachi issue, and how do you think that can be related to your experience?
Okay, when I read about her story, I was very sad because this is another woman who, you know, as the Bible says, women are weaker vessels. So this is another weak woman that a man should have been there for her. And hearing about her incident and how good her voice is, I was like, we've lost somebody good. And what I can say about that is that women who are in, not just women who are married, but there are other people who are in relationships, they are cohabiting, and they are being abused verbally, physically as well. Don't just feel like it's what people are going to say about me, that I left my marriage or I left this relationship again. If you're being abused, you have rights as human beings to get help. You have rights to live. So if the person you're living with is trying to shorten their life, abuse you physically to the extent that you don't look the way you're supposed to, seek help. There are places you can go to. Whatever somebody says, that, oh, it's your marriage. Yes, it's your marriage, but it's your life. God has given you that life. Protect that life as well. So speak out. Always speak up, speak out, tell somebody. And we have the DOFSU as well. They have a hotline. Reach out, go to social welfare. If you don't know any place that you can go report it at the police station, and then make sure that you follow up with it. If you go and report and you withdraw it, the abuser will always have power over you. You go report, you come, just like, oh, she's gonna report me again, she's gonna withdraw it. And then the person will have power over you and then abuse you more and more and more. So when you're ready, just go report the incident and make sure that you go to the end.
Wow.
And we have organizations like Abuse Relief Corps. They are doing so well. You can search them on social media, Facebook. You can contact them and let them help you. We have the support units. They can help you as well. You call them. They have their short code. Just type support units Ghana. You see their number there, and then they can help you as well.
Wow. Speak up and voice up. You can't solve the issue alone.
And one more thing, they have homes for these women.
Okay.
It's not that they leave you to go back to the abuser. They have homes, what I would say rescue homes that you can go to and let you start a life. So it's like, oh, he's the breadwinner. they can help you, put you in a trade for you to learn something.
Okay.
Yes, so they support you. I mean, when they say support, they give you all the support you need. So yeah, you can be on your own, so that we don't lose you, because we need all these women in our life. They are our mothers, they are our sisters. We need them.
That's
yes.
true. So I just want to ask you some further questions. How is your organization, what you started, how is it creating impact in the community, the people you're supporting? Can you tell us a little bit, number of people with you now and the rest? Yeah.
When I started speaking about it, and I got other neighbors calling me to tell me that, okay, I heard that this man abused this child in our neighborhood. Can you do something about it? Yes. And it gave me that power that people knew what I was doing. So they knew that I want to protect children. Yeah, so we try to help them as much as we can. And my organization, Survivors Diaries Foundation, I started it to support adult survivors of childhood sexual abuse, let them tell their stories to other survivors, get the support they need, get them educated, know how to cope with their traumas that they are going through. Let them know that, okay, whatever happened in the past is not their fault, and how they can cope on a daily basis, because when you get trauma or you get triggered, you may not know that, okay, this is what triggered me for the trauma to happen, for me to recall all the trauma. The body trauma lies in the brain. So when it happens like that, it affects your whole body. So how are you able to manage that? So we take them through. We realize that children are still being abused. So then in the future, we're going to have more survivors to help out. So we started educating children, and still it's not working out. So contact other NGOs, realize that the number is still high.
Wow.
Despite the education. So we came up with a safe adult education, where we educate adults, because if the adults are in the know on how to protect the children, it will be 50-50. We're going to the schools, educating the children, they go home, the adults also know. So that's what we are doing, these three areas: children, adults, and then the survivors, hoping that we can make a difference in the society.
Okay. This is very important, making a difference in our society by empowering the society to be able to take care of its children. This is beautiful. So one of my final questions to you is, what would you advise those people out there that have gone through this type of experience?
Okay, I want to tell every survivor out there, it's never ever your fault. It wasn't your fault. It was the adults who knew best, and they should have been held responsible. And I'm very sorry that you have to go through that. But there's healing. There's healing despite whatever you've gone through. And whatever coping mechanisms you may have tried on your own, it's not your fault. You didn't know which kind of coping mechanisms that will work best for you. So if you should join my organization, we're going to take you through it. Everything is free. Yes, it's just your data that you have to join in with.
Okay.
But aside that, the book, the resources that we give out, they are all free for you to learn how to cope with your trauma. That's if you're still having side effects. From that.
And now this is even prompting me to ask you, so what advice would you also give to people that have not gone through this at all?
Okay, for those who have not gone through it, that is very good. So you can be our backbone when we need a shoulder to lie on. Yes, you be open-minded. Right now you've heard about the side effects and how bad it can be. So if somebody should open up and tell you that I was sexually abused when I was a child, don't say, oh, but it happened a long time ago, I bet you enjoyed it. That even breaks the person. It's not something fun to talk about, because the child's innocence was taken at that point. They didn't have the courage to even speak up or defend themselves. So if somebody should come up and tell you, just listen. Just listen to them. Don't go into details if the person doesn't want to. Leave them to say whatever they want to say. And then ask them, what do they want to do next? If they don't know, maybe you can go online and see other resources, other ways they can heal from it, and suggest to them. Don't pressurize them to say that, okay, join Survivors Diaries because they are doing this. No, let them decide. Let them lay down all the options for them, and then let them decide on what to do. And then you can support the fight against child sexual abuse. Support us. Go on our Facebook page. There are a lot of flyers that we put there. Put it on your status. Share it with friends. Be an advocate yourself on child sexual abuse prevention.
Wow, thank you so much for this interview, Dolores. It was a very inspiring one on today's episode on sexual abuse. The story and this unspoken word, rape and sexual abuse, is what we see rampant within our communities. Our parents keep quiet to them. I don't know if it's because they feel like, oh, she will get over it, but it looks like they never get over it. There you go. Thank you so much for enjoying another inspiring episode on the BISA platform. This is the Be with Adults and ISA with your host, Betty Osei-Bonsu. And today we were in the studio with Dolores, a very inspiring story that touched on child sexual abuse when she was young. And this is something we avoid, and this is something we don't speak of. Please, let's do well to follow her on the social media page. You can see the number just displayed on the screen right now. Do well to put in a call to her if you want to get in touch with her. Any way to support, if it's to also join the foundation, do well to do so. The social media page handle is also there. And don't forget to subscribe to the BISA platform, because we bring you the inspiring stories from all over Africa. Stay tuned and don't forget again to subscribe.
Ish. Hey, that is how you guys do it.
It's BISA.